And officially, good evening and welcome out to the Market Watch Group working sessions. Trading foundations. This is our beginner half. I am Scott. I will be your host. The time is 8 p.m. Eastern. These are the disclaimers. We're not advisors or brokers. We don't give advice or recommendations. This is for education and illustrative purposes only. And now to the platform. Okay. All right, let's talk about it. First and foremost, I don't have the exact format yet, but you guys are the first ones that I want to bounce this out off of. But I'm thinking of restructuring the format of our Monday, Wednesday, Fridays. Right now, we tend to just go through our agenda, and it's like we look at the market and we talk about the news and the calendar, and we evaluate how things are going, but we don't leave a lot of time for like ongoing trading considerations. And so my thought was, I want to condense abridge it in order to give like 10 to 12, maybe 15 minutes of, do we have any trade considerations to either A, place, B, manage, C, close, right? And just give ourselves a little bit more specific trade conversation. Now, what that means, right? Just like we said, we need to understand and recognize the pawn in any situation. So in this situation, we don't just like, hey, here's free trading time. We have to sacrifice. So what are we going to sacrifice? Some of the just contexts. And maybe it's not as useful. It just means we're going to condense and go a little faster through the day to day. What do you think? Am I on the right track with this? Or do you think, no, we can do trading during Tuesdays and Thursdays? When you say it like that, it's only 2 days. Does it feel like enough? Or does it feel like, yeah, let's give ourselves 10 minutes of trading in Monday, Wednesday, Friday, where we're actually just always have some specific thing we're looking at? Sandy says yes. Clint says yes. If we have one more, there is a quorum. Dan says yes, we have a quorum. I will construct the new agendas. And I'll actually put some times on there. And that way I'll hold myself to a better account. My ADD, you know how it kicks in. I start yapping about something, and we're talking, and all of a sudden I'm like, oh my gosh, I just lost 10 minutes. Yeah. Michael says I prefer more than. Okay, well, let's start with, because we got to maintain that continuity of context. I mean, that's the gist of the group, right? Is that I want to make sure that it doesn't become people are coming thinking I'm going to be giving trades, right? Where it's more like, okay, he puts this out and I have to decide, do I take this or not? Do I, right? I want to make sure it's a teaching to fish, not come to eat some fish session. That way we can okay, Michael, I like it. He says we can discuss more. More time would be useful. Fair enough. We'll give it a shot. We'll see. And we will iterate as necessary. Because that's what we do. We be water. That's what we do. Okay, good enough. Market today. Again, we haven't talked about it yet, but we will. If you start thinking about let me make sure, our posture. Our posture improved again. I'm at a 4 point something. 4.25. I know a couple are ahead of me. Michael, if you're saying let's talk about specific trades on Monday, I love that. Right? I mean, it's a social thing. I don't want it to feel like there's, like it's really supposed to be like, hey, there's no pressure. We all just chat. It always veers to market anyways. I mean, we're like, that's what traders who are hanging out, even in, recreation, talk about trading, because that's what we do. We're traders. So I'm fine allocating. Like, here's what I would say. I would say the onus is on proverbially you, meaning whoever it is. So, Michael, if you're like, yeah, I'll bring a stock to talk about, I'll bring a symbol. Great. I'm not going to bring it, but I have no. In fact, we actually yesterday Miguel popped his chart up for a minute. I thought that went great. Everyone want to weigh in? Like so if you're like, I've got a setup. Here's what I'm thinking. Let's weigh in. Boom. Pull your screen up, because what I think that would do. Now that's where I could definitely come in, Michael. Is if you have a trade and everyone's like, yeah, we all think we like this, and then it's like, hey, lead us through a discussion on how we would evaluate this for options. That's magic right there, right? That's a perfect blend of exactly what we're trying to do. You bring it, you've done some work, you bring this trade, and you're like, here's, maybe even have like, I don't know, I was thinking about a call. Well, let's look at it. Let's look at a in the money versus out of the money. Let's look at 1 versus 3 months. Then let's look at a bull call spread. And what would that, right? So that sounds really constructive to me. Yeah, covered call, iron call. What strategy would work and why? Love that. Because I think that if we do that on Mondays and we really start talking it up and getting more like 10 to 12 instead of, we're up to about 5 or 6. I think we got to 8 at one day. But I think what we can do is provide a model of what Wednesday afternoons with Glenn, Monday mornings with Glenn. I might even start doing like a Tuesday or a Thursday meetup session, not a stage, a meetup. And those are right. That's a different vibe. That's what we're going for very purposefully is I want the vibe in the meetups to be more collaborative and but yeah, let's I think we have a path. Let's start walking down it, see where it takes us, and if we need to make an adjustment, we'll make an adjustment. But this sounds cool to me. More involved talking about trades, the better it will be for all of us. 100. Yes. Yeah. That's 100% right, Dan. Love that. Super cool. That was helpful for me, you guys. I hope you feel like this kind of gives you a chance to just sort of help guide, where we're going. Let's talk about the market then. So I'm a 4.25. That's where we were. What does the market tell us over these first 2 days? Low volume. That's not unexpected, and that's not concerning to us now. So if someone's like, oh, well, watch out, there's no volume. You're like, dude, there's been no volume for 3 weeks, and it's just made this monster move. What are you talking about? Be careful. You be careful. I see no problem with the fact that there's light volume there. Okay. So we had a little bit of a pullback, and then today we just sort of paused. So we're just sort of in this holding pattern What is our stochastics doing? This is the selling cycle as far as we're concerned. I mean, this is as much as we've seen from the sellers. And we know as we look around at the market that there are actually consolidations happening. Not everywhere. Apple doesn't really have one. Apple's in a base more than is anything else, a basing pattern. So what do I mean by that? I mean, it literally I can't draw my, let's see if I can try this one more time. So weird. I can't draw again today. Too bad. So sad. It's basing. It's just kind of going straight across the top and the bottom, and we're not really sure. That's harder to trade. Would I trade it breaking out of this? We don't have a lot of upside. I don't know. That's a tough one. We'll have to think about that. Amazon, on the other hand, I think Amazon looks great. It's pulled back for 1, 2, 3, 4 days. One big day, then small, small, small. Volume is staying light. We've kind of closed this gap, but we really haven't. I mean, you'll notice if you go all the way back, you have an old support level through here. It held even there. Broke it there on volume. Yeah. If it stabilizes and turns, I like it. That's a good representation of a consumer discretionary. That's a helpful. I think this looks just fine. AXP. So the financials kind of were funky. They gave you like a half a signal. And then you can see they signaled here, moved a day, starting to pause already. If you're in it, you could probably sit through it. If you're not in it, this might be a little hiccup that gets you a chance to catch the trade. Let's go look at the Heiken Ashi real fast. I think we're going to find a couple of signals to consider. You can see it's sort of consolidating. If it were to reignite with another growth candle, which is one of these bigger candles, no lower shadow, I think you could take that trade and get in, or you could wait to see if it consolidates just a little bit more. Steven, are you holding? I think Steven's in this one. Yes, makes sense to me. BLDR had this big jump, and we're like, whoa, and then gave some back, pulling back. I think it looks like it's flagging. Fantastic. There could be a signal coming up anytime in the next 1 to 4 days. Industrials, it just broke to a new high. I think it has everything it needs to find a new trend, and I'm ready to take advantage of that. Citigroup, same thing as Bank of America, just a little bit of a pause. Caterpillar, same thing. There's Colgate-Palmolive, continuing to remind me how wrong I was when I intentionally decided to not continue watching and also trading the consumer defensives. Oh. The thing too, I tend to have a policy that I would always rather go to the well one too many times than one too few, because I'm working with a positive expectancy. So every event is plausibly a chance to grow my account. So by sacrificing one, you're sort of jumping the gun, right? Too late. Nope, Sandy, he's right on time. His request was magnificent. I'm gonna put the CLF. Anyways, okay. Should have taken the for CL. Yeah, no, I should have traded that. I don't know why I decided to move consumer discretionary Out. Cleveland Cliffs. I don't love it. It's a downtrend. Yeah? It's a downtrend. Now, if you caught some momentum, good, but you did buy it at the lowest low, which was counter trend. I don't care, but it's a matter of saying I need to acknowledge this is not a bounce trade. This is a counter trend trade. They're not the same. Even though they both look somewhat identical by way of like there was sellers than buyers, this is a count. I would say you want to make sure you denote this as a different system than regular bounce trades where you have an established trend in place and you're buying the dips. That's a bounce trade. It's bouncing within the context of the dip. The dip is occurring within the context of the underlying trend. This is a counter trend trade where you're saying, I'm calling the bottom. That's what we're saying. I'm calling the bottom. So make sure you log it so that if you have issues ever, you have the ability to recognize where it's happening. Now, here's the thing that's hard. Theoretically, it's tough because, you could make that same argument here. And then you're like, is it going to go up? 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 And you're just kind of waiting, and it gets key. And then you're like, I can't stand it. It's not working. I'm getting out. And you're like, wait, no, I'm going to get in. And then it gives you 2 days, and then it wavers, and then it drops, and then I don't know. That's not for me personally, but if you have a stop, a target, and a favorable reward to risk ratio, you recognize it is a counter trend trade. One thing I would say is you would want to have some measure that's like, why this one and not this one or this one, or right? Like what distinction are you looking for somewhere on your chart that says this is the one and why? What otherwise we're a little bit relying on our trick knees that tell us when a storm is coming, right? That's all. Okay. Don't knock me. CMG next on the list. Okay, so I purposely said I'm waiting on this. When I saw right here where I'm like, this does look like a higher low. But because of the news, I said I'm going to wait. What am I going to wait for? For it to break, which it seems to be doing today. I think it could even go a little higher still, potentially. But at this point now, if it pulls back and gives me a higher low, maybe like, I would love if it gets a little higher still. So if you're in it, maybe you're hoping for that too. But then I'm waiting for the higher low that sort of cements the fact that the market doesn't care that much that the CEO is gone to Starbucks. Because that's what happened. Costco, we thought we were going to get a little bit of a pullback. And then, boom, it's gone. And now there's just nothing we can do but wait. Carvana, still waiting. The Dow, all right. Miguel, did you get out? Are you still holding? This looks like it could possibly pull back. Still holding. I mean, it's just kind of moving along. Lagging a bit. Bitcoin doing its thing. Not going up too much, not going down too much. It's stuck right around the middle, right? We didn't break back into that old pattern above 52. Yeah, right? A mild consolidation is definitely better than a drop. That is for sure. Okay, so far, what have we liked the best? I'm gonna say Amazon. I'm gonna create just a little bit more of a focus list here. Amazon has a nice little flag pattern. I'm gonna say BLDR. No. Caterpillar, no. No, 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 no. Let's keep going. Gold, no. GM, no. Google. I'm a yes on Google. We had a consolidation. You can see that it never really had a break, but it just sort of had a little bit of a higher low and pushed. And now the sellers have another chance. They had a chance here, and it only dropped a little bit and then pushed higher, and now they have a chance here. And if it doesn't drop below this 160 level, if it just sort of meanders and then turns, yeah, right? Just waiting for this signal. What are we waiting now? This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I would say if you missed this day back here, you've been waiting since then. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 days. 7 days. If you took it earlier than that, if you traded it earlier than those 7 days, what do you have in front of you? Nothing. A loss. If you bought time, you're hurting. If you bought the stock, you're just sort of waiting. Yeah, I'm good being patient with this one. So, Home Depot, no. IWM. I like IWM. If IWM gives a flag, I would trade it for sure. So let's put small caps on the list. JP Morgan, overextended, KBH. I don't know. If you like home builders and they like lower interest rates, that's for sure. You have a little bit of a cup and now it seems to be forming the handle. Yeah, let's put it on the list. KBH. Coca-Cola, new highs. McDonald's, still waiting. Meta, fabulous. Meta looks good. As soon as it turns, we're happy. Cup, handle. Cup, handle. Do I have to wait for it to break the cup to complete the cup and handle? Do I have to wait to trade the handle? Nope. I'll trade that. I like Meta a lot. Meta looks great. Amazon looks great. Amazon is a consumer discretionary. BLDR, industrial, Google, communication services, IWM is small caps. KBH is kind of an intersect between retail and industrial. Meta is consumer discretionary. What do we not have yet? Tech. Tech adjacent, but not tech. We'll see. MMM, nothing for us. Morgan Stanley, nothing for us. Microsoft. Oh, hello, Microsoft. Microsoft is a yes for me on the turn. You can see the stochastics even seems like it's getting ready. These could start firing tomorrow. Stochastics is pinched and started to turn but hasn't crossed. Miguel, great recognition. This looks right where we would want it to be. Micron, yes. Same exact thing. What do we have? The buyers took control, pushed it up, new high. Sellers pushed it down. Yesterday's volume was a little concerning, but today it's stabilized, so the turn is still good. Netflix, I would say, is viable as of theoretically today. I mean, the stochastics pinched but didn't turn, but I don't know. It did give it all the way back. If it finished up here, yes, but the fact that it closed all the way back down, I don't know. I think we could put it on the list. I better give myself room for one other column. NVIDIA earnings coming out. I don't really see much there. It's sideways. All right, let's put it on the list. You can't trade it really because of the earnings. I'm going to put 2 stars next to that. I mean, it's kind of not, it's a flag in a stiff wind, meaning it's blowing sideways, right? It's not really, I can't draw it, but it's not really that downward consolidation. PLTR. You know I like me some PLTR. Yeah? So now what do we have? Some tech. Now we have Micron, Microsoft, NVIDIA, and PLTR. We've got a nice quorum here. We don't have a ton. It's not like you have a bunch of different industrials. You have one that you think is leading, or Amazon, leading consumer discretionary. SPY is here. Still looks fine. TSM, I would say put it on the list. Looks good. The dollar staying down. The VIX has, again, it rolled over. This looks like it's moving into what will be a lower high and starting to drop. Do I think the market can move bullishly from here? Yes. Yes. Walmart. New high. Nothing we can do with that. XLB. Materials seem a little overextended. Communication services looks all right. A little sideways. Energy. Energy had a bit of a higher low, but we know that that was somewhat artificial from regional tensions in the Middle East. Financials just got some strength, but looks a bit overextended. Industrials, about the same, a small pullback. Technology actually looks like where they're setting up now, right? And technology certainly has the ability to lead. Utilities is rolling over. Staples looks a little overbought here. Healthcare, a little overbought. Consumer discretionary, possibly setting up. Looking at sector rotation today, FID in a good lead, where tech is 4th from the bottom. Yeah, well, I mean, I don't know that that's giving us much on the day-to-day, right? Sector rotation, when we look at those time frames, we're looking on the weekly just to sort of see what we notice by way of patterns. But right now, when you look at financials versus technology for new signals, financials looks a bit overextended and overbought, whereas technology has gone into a consolidation and looks right. If you think about it, you don't want to trade what's in first. That's what's already moved. We're looking for what's going to move next right now, right? What's going to move next? I'm looking for the thing that just pulled back so that it's ready to move That's what I see here. Do I think, oh man, but what if the sellers, what do you mean, what if? If they were, they would. They haven't. If they do, then sure, make an adjustment. If they do it before you get in, then don't get in. If they do it after you get in, then get out. But yeah, where are the setups right now? I'm going to say technology. Technology, maybe consumer discretionary, which is why we said we like Amazon. We said we like Google, or not Google, sorry. PLTR, Microsoft. Those all have nice looking setups. So here's a question right now. First and foremost, what trades do you have on? What sectors are they in? I would imagine if you're like me, you might still have a bit in financials. I should have a bit still in defensive, but I don't. So give me your thoughts about that. What's good? What's not? What are you holding that you're thinking, I should not be in this? FTA, these are all long positions. Let's take a quick peek. We've got a list. We're going to just kind of pop around a little bit here. And then in the second half, we're going to start setting up some trades and talking about like triggered trade alerts versus non-triggered trade alerts. FTAI, fabulous looking trend. Real nice looking trend. I mean, if you're in it, that looks good. It just made a great move. Holding it, it looks a little overbought. I mean, it's continued to run. I think a Heiken Ashi would be magic on this right now. Let's go see if I'm right. Bam. Now, what do we notice about this magical Heiken Ashi? All of a sudden, I've got a little inside day. And you can see back here when I got an inside day, red day, battered. Inside day, red day, beat up. So is there a bit of a concern? Yeah, a bit of a concern. Maybe a stop loss that says, I'm not going to let this thing drop below 118.50 from here. Or if I wanted to be even a little bit more aggressive, I would come in here. You can see the low of this candle, 121.96. If it takes that low, maybe this day right here, maybe if the stop is at 119.75. You give it a little bit of room. If the thing falls apart, you lock it in. You wait for the next time to take another bite at the apple. Let's see. Let's get out of here. Back to here. Coca-Cola looks nice. Glad you took that one. Oh, okay. I love the trends, Michael. Like, find a bull market, buy the dip. That's the core philosophy here. So, you know, these are clearly bullish. It looks like hopefully you got in, you know, maybe 7 to 10 days ago, and these things have been running pretty strong. At least 4 or 5 days ago, and they'll still be playing pretty well. Well done. Love it. Love it. Fastenal. We're on lightning round. Whatever I see, I'm going to look at. Fastenal, we talked about that a little bit. NVIDIA looks good, but has earnings. So what are you going to do with earnings? IWM, JPM looks great. IWM, I think, is actually in a bit of a consolidation. CMG looks strong. It's pushing, but I would definitely be thinking, okay, how much am I going to get before the next pullback? Did I get to them all? I think I did. Yeah. Okay, so as of now, I'm leaning towards 3 potentials that I like a little better than the rest. I think it's maybe even 4. Okay, 4. Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, PLTR. I've got discretionary consumer or communication services. Then I have a couple of technology. Those are, I mean, I think that any of these are potential. But Micron and TSM and NVIDIA, all very similar. Netflix is kind of on its own. Google, Meta are going to ride similarly, so it's one or the other. BLDR is a little early, so I'm going to wait on that one. So I think that's a good mix. IWM's a little early, so I'm going to wait on that one. KBH is a little early. I'm going to wait on that one. But they are definitely in setup modes. And those are ones that IWM, KBH, much more likely to move well if the expectations from the Fed continue to move, into a dovish and accommodative stance. Okay, so give me your thoughts on those. That's what we're going to work off of. In the second half today, I imagine we're going to have at least 2 or 3 signals this week, and those are probably the likely candidates. So you get an early inside look. If you stick around to the second half, I figure we'll take about 10 minutes for each one and give us a little bit of time for questions, start mapping out the trade, and yeah, we'll be ready to go. So what are your thoughts, questions, comments, or concerns about that agenda? Were there any stocks I didn't hit that somebody had wanted to look at before we wrap up the lightning round and move into opportunity discussion? Dan has something coming. I didn't even stop to see who else has shown up. So if we've had some new people come in, it looks like it's the same crew staying in the whole time. You guys are amazing. Don't tell anyone else, but I like you better than the rest of them. If you're listening to this at home, I don't mean you. I mean everybody else but you. I mean, that's the hardest thing, right? Earnings is such a crapshoot. So it could be where everyone's like, oh, there's so much built into it, and then it just can't hold up. Or it could they just absolutely obliterate their announcement. And it's like, oh my gosh. And everyone's like, what a magnificent bastard NVIDIA is. Yeah. It's so up in the air. I don't even have any frame of reference from which to prognosticate. And I consider myself most certainly a prognosticator. So yeah. NVIDIA will miss earnings but show a strong future. Oh, so you think they'll miss expectations but they'll raise guidance? Because that's the kind of thing that actually can survive. When it comes to guidance and expectations, guidance is more important. If they're like, oh yeah, we exceeded guidance by 20%, but no one hears anything except what comes after but. But we expect our revenue is going to slow down next year, and everyone's like, I'm out of here. And the thing gaps down. Yeah. It'll be an interesting one for us to watch as a group. So let us look forward to that together. All right. Well, we've reached the halfway point. We have discussed the market. We have reviewed the entire list, and we have a strong core watch list here. 12 stocks. 12 stocks. Amazon, BLDR, Google, IWM, KBH, KB Homes, Meta, Microsoft, Micron, Netflix, NVIDIA, PLTR, TSM. There's obviously some overlap in there. We're going to work through the core 4 that we're going to do is Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, PLTR. They're not triggers. They're just close. So looking forward to your trade report. Oh, what's a trade report? Am I giving a trade report? I'm just going to play with some numbers and have some fun. Oh, recommend. Stephen, you're using curse words. You know we don't give recommendations or guidance. That's in the disclaimers. Trade recommendations. We give trade examples for education and illustrative consideration. That's all we do. All right, let's take 4. I'll see you guys at 8:50. If anyone pops in and is like, why is it so quiet? You can let them know that we are on intermission. See you in a few.